Hello, good morning. Am I audible to everyone? Please respond quickly.
Yes, sir.
That's great. So now we're going to start. Let the others join meantime. So we have been discussing about the trolley problem, right? From the last class. Hello. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I think I have shown a video on trolley problem in the last class, right?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No. So what we end up with? The discussion.
Yes, sir.
And this is the discussion is right time to reopen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think did we talk about three prominent models?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, okay. So today we will start our new topic, that is three prominent models of ethical decision making. This is the very conceptual thing. I would like to tell you that you have to need to pay attention on this conceptual discussion because they demand your close attention. Otherwise, you will lose some conceptual details, and that would also make some problem in your exam. So let's try to understand first of all three prominent theories, what they are. Then we will go to understand what is a trolley problem and how the trolley problem relates to this three prominent model of ethical decision making. So today we'll try to understand two things. First of all, the overview of three prominent model, and then we'll move to a discussion of trolley problem. Okay, so let me share you with the chart. Is this PPT visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Right. Just wait. Let me go to the right figure. Okay, fine. So can you see this Venn diagram on a screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. So just wait. Yes. Okay. So we have three different models of ethical reasoning for our ethical decision making. Ethical decision making, as all of you know, I told you earlier also, it is about, to make the choices, actions, and decisions. Okay. This figure, if you remind. Okay. So ethical decision making, we actually work on our CAT, choices, actions, goals, and decisions. So what we do, we try to understand the difference between good and bad, right and wrong, and what is necessary, ought, and what is not necessary, ought not. Okay. So this we do in our ethical decision making. And then let's try to understand. We have three different models to decide ethically. First model, as you can see, is known as consequentialism. Okay. Consequentialism is based on the consequences of our CAD. When I say CAD, you must understand choice, action, and decisions. Okay. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When I say CAD, CAD refers to choice, action, and decisions. So, consequentialism, in the consequentialism reasoning, we actually look at the consequences of any CAD. Okay. And then what kind of consequences? That is a important question. we look at those consequences which have utility. Utility means which can maximize our GHP factor. What is GHP factor? Goodness, happiness, and pleasure. That is called GHP factor. Okay, so that is why Jeremy Bentham was the first scholar who organized consequentialism in the form of a theory which is known as a utilitarianism. So utilitarianism is emphasizing on utility. Okay, and what is utility? Which can maximize our GHP. So Bentham was the first scholar who worked on the utilitarianism and says that the ethical thing to do is which can maximize our goodness, happiness, and pleasure for maximum number. And he worked on the principle, right? He designed one principle which is called POU, principle of utility. Okay. So according to POU, the right thing to do is which can maximize goodness for maximum number of people. So you can say MMGM, maximizing goodness for maximum number of people. Okay, that is the principle of utility. So in the utilitarianism, look, utilitarianism is a consequentialist reasoning in which we talk about the utility, and we talk about utility in terms of the good results and good results for maximum numbers. Okay, that's why it is known as the utilitarianism. Look, here the objective principle which is followed for our ethical decision making is principle of utility. Okay, this is the principle that decides what is ethically right and wrong, what is good and what is bad, which kind of action which is necessary for us and which is not necessary for it, which so these all things will be decided upon the POU. POU means principle of utility, and the principle is maximizing goodness for maximum number of people. So when we have to decide what is ethically correct for us, we have to simply think what we are going to do, whether it will maximize goodness, happiness, pleasure for maximum number or not. That is the view of the consequentialism. Okay. On the look, we have to understand that this view of consequentialism is a very ordinary view. It's a normal human being view because we all of us actually carry this point of view when we decide in our life. Okay, if you observe your day-to-day life, you will find that most of the decision in our life we take based on consequentialism because this suits to our human nature. Okay, so let's come to the second point of view, which is known as deontology. Deontology simply means reason govern duties. Reason govern duties. So deontology refers to duty. Okay, reason and duty. So our second model is based on the principle of rationality and principle of duty. So according to this principle, that what is ethically correct will not be decided upon the results of action. Okay, result will cannot be the criteria to decide what is ethically correct, good, or necessary. How we should decide what is ethically correct? Immanuel Kant was the philosopher who actually designed this deontology. And according to him, the ethics and morality cannot be based on our results, desires, and natural human nature. Ethics and morality should be based on reason, objective reason, which should not be subjective, and the duties that follows the reason. So Kant says that ethics is about reason and duty. It's not about the results and human nature and human desires. Because according to Kant, human nature, desires, results, they may vary action to action, choices to choices, decision to decisions, and person to person. But the ground of ethics, a ground of ethical decision making, should be such that which is certain, which should be one same for one and all. That is why we have to follow objective reason for it. And ethics is like a duty. So Kant emphasized that ethical decision making should be based on objective reasons and our sense of duty. So according to him, the ethics and morality is like a duty. You have to follow like a duty. And why should you follow? You must have objective reason to follow. It's not only based on your liking and disliking. That you like, then you will do. You dislike, you don't do. No. He would say that you must have objective reason to follow your duties. And once you have objective reason, you must follow duties. And that is the nature of the ethics and morality according to Kant. So he emphasized on responsibility, reasons, and duty. Okay. So these are two contrasting point of view. One, consequentialism is based on human nature, but deontology is based on human reason. It's not based on human reason, human nature. It's based on human reason. And but reason is objective. It's not subjective. Okay. So here the principle is rationality, reason. Okay. And that has to be objective. Okay. And according to Kant, morality or ethics is universal. It cannot be personal. Okay, let's talk about the third point of view. That is virtue-based ethical reasoning. Look, virtue-based ethical reasoning is most ancient view in ethics. Why? Because it was developed in ancient time by Aristotle before Christ. Okay, Aristotle emphasized that what is the right thing to do or what is the right decision in the life. According to Aristotle, the right decision should be based on our virtues. He says your right decision cannot be followed by any objective principle outside of you. When you will act rightly in your life, when you will decide rightly in your life, it will be always be following your character, and your character is formed by your virtues. Okay, so Aristotle emphasized in his virtue based ethical reasoning on two important factors: human character and the virtues, the qualities by which your character is formed. According to Aristotle, your character is formed over a period of time by the influence of family, society, and the other factors. They shape your virtues, and according to your virtues, you decide about the right and wrong, good and bad, what is necessary for you and what is not necessary for you. So, guys, we have three different models. Okay, now we have three different models: consequentialism, deontology, and virtue-based reasoning. Okay, I have given you overview of these three prominent models. If you have any doubt, you can raise questions. Okay, please go ahead, and then we'll move to our trolley problem video, which is very much connected with these three prominent models. Please ask your question if you have any doubt on this overview of these three models. Anywhere you miss something, you can ask the question. Please. All of you get these three models? Hello? Please respond quickly.
सर लास्ट मॉडल एक बार बता दीजिए.
Okay, what's your name?
मानसी.
Yes, Mansi. The last model is virtue-based ethical reasoning. This model was developed in a very ancient time. That's why it's very, ancient model. Okay, by Aristotle. According to Aristotle, that ethical decision making in your life is not based or should not be based on any objective principle outside of you. Like consequentialism focuses on principle of utility, like deontology focuses on the rationality and universal morality and the sense of duty, right? These are objective principles. Aristotle emphasized that when you will decide ethically something correct, something good, something necessary, okay, this would follow your original character, okay, and your character is composed of the virtues that you develop, that you shape over a period of time, okay. So Aristotle emphasized on your personal nature, subjective nature, and he give importance to your virtues that you develop in your character. So Aristotle argues that your ethical life is not by any objective principle. You are ethical by your character, by your virtues that you develop. Otherwise, no objective principle can give you guarantee that you would act ethically. Did you get this point, Mansi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more question on these three different
No.
ethical reasoning? Okay. So let's go and watch the video, that is trolley problem, which is connected to these three models also. Let me give you a background of that trolley problem first of all. Look, trolley problem was designed by a famous Harvard philosopher, namely Philippa Foot. Philippa Foot designed this hypothetical trolley problem only to respond to the critics, those who were saying that ethical decisions are not scientific, they are not based on objective universal reasons. Rather, ethical decisions are like our, you know, uh, emotions that we express. They are like our, you know, recommendations or rejections that we like or dislike by our nature. Philippa Foot was, responding to this critique and maintaining a point that, look, ethical decisions are also like scientific decisions. They are having the objective grounds. They are also having the universal reasons. That's why she designed this trolley problem. Okay, trolley problem is a hypothetical case. It's not a real case because Philippa Foot structured it with conditions that she has designed. Okay, real case means that is something actually happening really, like corona pandemic is a real case for last 7 months for all of us. Okay, so Philippa Foot designed this artificial hypothetical case to respond to the critiques and making this point that ethical decision making is also scientific and based on universal objective reasons. Okay, so let's go and watch this trolley problem, then we'll back to our discussion.
Imagine you're watching a runaway trolley barreling down the tracks, straight towards 5 workers who can't escape. You happen to be standing next to a switch that will divert the trolley
Did
onto
you
a
get the
single
link?
track. Here's the problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in case of any issue, you can watch by yourself. Can you see the YouTube on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me?
Yes,
I
sir.
think we have lost connection, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me play again, yes. Just wait a minute.
With your child with free education for life, book a free coding class.
Imagine you're watching
Can
a
you see that
runaway trolley
video?
barreling down the tracks, straight towards
Yes, sir.
five. You
Okay.
can't escape. You happen to be standing next to a switch that will divert the trolley onto a second track. Here's the problem. That track has a worker on it too, but just one. What do? Do you sacrifice one person to save five? This is the trolley problem, a version of an ethical. Imagine you're watching a runaway trolley barreling down the tracks, straight towards five workers who can't escape. You happen to be standing next to a switch that will divert the trolley onto a second track. Here's the problem. That track has a worker on it too, but just one. What do? Do you sacrifice one person to save five? This is the trolley problem, a version of an ethical dilemma that philosophers
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you done with the video?
Yes, sir.
Right. In the end, you must have noticed a very good punchline that for programming ethics for machines and driverless car, we have a value of hypothetical cases to understand about the possible consequences, and we have to decide about the important principles. Okay, so let me give you a very simple understanding of this whole trolley problem. It has importantly two versions, right? In the first version, you are supposed to be a driver of a trolley, small trolley carrying passengers, and a trolley is running on a track. There's a systemic failure in your trolley, and brakes and horn don't work. And it happens to be that you find five workers are working on the same track. You become desperate because if you crash into those five workers, they all will die. So you think what to do. Then in the next moment, you observe that there is a side track where you can safely turn the trolley. By lever, you can change the track and you can save five workers. But on the other track, you find there is one worker working. So now you have to make a choice whether to go straight or to change the track, whether to save five or to save one. That is where you have to decide the first version. Okay. And similarly, we have to understand those all engineers designing for driverless car or the Tesla project on the driverless car, autonomous car. They have to also decide on this principle. In case if there's a situation of accident, then how automatic car should decide? It should decide whether to save five workers or to save one. So in the first version, you have to decide whether to save five workers or to save one. In the second version, you have to decide whether to save five workers or to save one. And the driver in the car or the passenger in the car would die. Then the problem would occur like that. Then why somebody should try to buy such a car, which in some cases kill the owner of the car? That's a great dilemma. So the first version put you in a dilemma what to do between 5 and 1. Try to understand the second version of this trolley problem. In the second version, you are not a driver, and the trolley problem is automatic trolley running on the track. You are on the bridge this time. Okay, you are on a bridge and down goes the trolley. And again, the same situation trolley is about to kill the five workers. Brakes and horns don't work. And there is no side track this time. There is no side track, only track where trolley is going on. You are on the bridge. Okay. So it happens to be that you sense this that this trolley is going to kill five workers. Then what happens? You see that a very large fat man before you leaning onto bridge, very carelessly leaning onto bridge. So it comes to your mind that if you would push the fat man, he will on the track, okay, down the track and make an obstruction. So five persons' life will be saved, but this fat man will die. So in second version, you are asked whether you would push the fat man to save five workers or not. Okay. So this is the uh, discussion on this trolley problem. Now I invite your views, what you will do in the both versions. Please share your views quickly. Yes. Hello. We have 7-8 minutes. Please respond quickly. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Section.
Roll number 48, section G.
Section
G.
G.
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Ritik.
Ritik, yes.
Sir, in this video we have seen that there was only two options. So we have a best option to divert trolley in second line. Then we can save a life of 5 people.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And what is your decision?
Sir, we have a only best option to divert trolley in second line, because in first line there was 5 people are working, but in second line only one worker was working. So we have to save more life of human.
Okay. Why?
Sir, roll number 40, section G.
Section
Sir, section G.
40. Yes. What's your name?
Sir, Nikhil.
Yes, Nick.
Sir, it may be dependent on the courage of that person to take the blame for the killing of second person.
Please unmute yourself, Nikhil.
Sir, it may be dependent on the courage of the person to take the blame for the killing of the person on the side track.
Please avoid background noise. Yes. Courage of the person.
Sir, to take blame of killing of the person on the side track.
He is killing the person changing the track, right? He is trying to save the 5 workers. Okay. More views? More views, I said. You can have 2-3 views. Yes.
The roll number 34, section H.
What's your name?
Mansi.
Hello.
Hello,
What's your name?
Sir Mansi.
Yes, Mansi. Go ahead.
So I think it is really a typical situation because life is more important, and whether it is of single person or of 5%, it does not matter because life is a life. And but if comes to a decision that we have to say whether 1% or the 5%, then this is the basic rule that we take decision on the maximum benefits. So I think I'll say 5 people and sacrifice 1 people in both the situations.
In both situations.
Yes, sir, because we don't have in first situation, no, sir. In first situation, I can divert the track, but in second situation, we don't have any other option because we don't have second track, and only a single person is responsible that can save the life of 5 people. So I think it is better to sacrifice single person rather to sacrifice the life of 5 persons.
So you would push the fat man.
There is no choice because we have to take decision on the basis of maximum benefit.
But it's not that in second case is like doing murder, but first is not.
So first we have option of diverting the track because second track is free and we can let the trolley go in that track so we can save it. But in second option we don't have bridge is only there and a single fat man is there. So we don't have an option to diverting the track. So that's why I think
That's why I'm telling it's not the second version seems like it committing murder.
yes sir it seems, but we don't have an option.
So he would commit murder to save five.
That the same thing happens every day on the border of our India. If we see that for saving whole population, our soldiers sacrifice their own life.
But soldier has a duty. He has joined the army. He has joined the army, and other soldiers are also on the border. Is it your duty to kill that? You all are supposed to watch the trolley problem again and back to discussion in the next class. Thank you very much. Now you can leave.
पढ़ते हैं।